This is Lindsay
and Kathy of Kindergarten Kiosk, a proud member of the Education Podcast Network. Just like the show you're listening to right now.
The opinions expressed are those of individual hosts. Make sure you check out all the other great podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com. And now the learning begins in
3, 2, 1.
Hello, EduMagicians. Welcome to the EduMagic Podcast with your host, Dr. Sam Fessich. Dr. Sam is a professor of education, author of EduMagic, and a pumpkin spice latte fan. This podcast is designed for pre-service teachers. Remember, friends, teaching doesn't begin at graduation, but during that first class at 8 a.m. Let's get this party started.
Hello, EduMagicians. It's Sam Fessich back with another episode of the EduMagic Podcast. Welcome to episode 15, the ultimate guide to your student-teacher binder. All right, so it's almost the end of August, and you might be asking yourself, I wonder what I should put in my student-teaching binder. Well, that's a great question, friends, and I get this question every year around this time, and I'm going to share some of my go-to areas that should be in every student-teacher binder. So hang on tight. We're going to get into those. But if you're on the go, you're going to want to check out www.sfessich.com/15 for the complete list of the areas in which you should have in your teaching binder. Also included in that freebie is a shopping list. So you know what to add to your Amazon cart, or next time you hop to Target, you know what to purchase, or maybe even the dollar store. You can find this stuff there. And also, here's a really fun bonus. I asked this question to my PLN, and included in the PDF download, if you go to www.sfessich.com/15, are several bonus ideas that you can add into your student teaching binder. I hope you check it out. It's full of tons of great resources, including all the ones I'm going to list here today, a shopping list, and some bonus ideas. So let's get right into it. I'm going to share with you sections or pages that you should have in your student teaching binder. And how you organize it is up to you. So first things first, once you purchase your 3-ring binder from your favorite store, make sure it's like a 3-inch binder. So if you're a child from the 90s, you might remember those old school Trapper Keepers. So like, don't think of an old school Trapper Keeper. Think of like a nice professional binder made with a plastic sleeve on the front that you can create a beautiful cover for your student teacher binder. And a great way to start off your student teacher binder is to create that cover with your professional name on it to make it personalized and for you. And a great tool to use to create that is Canva. And I'll put that in the show notes. And within Canva, you can create a beautiful student teacher binder cover. Once you have your binder, you have your beautiful cover created and printed, and it's set inside your binder. Some things you're going to want to include within there is a contact sheet. You might think, a contact sheet of my students. No, a contact sheet that has the information for your cooperating teacher or your host teacher or your mentor teacher, however your university frames that. Going to have their name, maybe the classroom number, their phone number if they allow you to have it, and their email address. And you're going to want to have the same information for your college supervisor. So have their name, their phone number, and their email address, and maybe where their office is located on campus. So that way you have that information really quickly at your fingertips as soon as you open up your binder. The next thing you're going to want to have in there after your contact information with your co-op and your supervisor is a class roster and an annotated seating chart. So you're going to want to have a class roster for each of the periods that you teach. If you're a pre-K 4 major, you might just have one class roster. If you're a middle level or a secondary, you might have 5, 6, or 7, maybe even 8 rosters. So make sure you have rosters for each of the periods. And on that roster, you're going to want to include start time and the end time of that period. And maybe if there's a bell between periods, you can put that in there as well. The next thing I recommend student teachers to have is a calendar. And I mean like drill down from month to week to day. So you can schedule in like the monthly one. You can look at that and see, okay, when do I have practicum this month? You can pop those in. When are the Act 80 days or professional development days for district? Pop those in. If you have a holiday for the school district or the university, you can put that in your monthly calendar. You would also want to put in any student birthdays because that's really fun to remember. And on the weekly view of the calendar, you can go in and you can put in what times you're teaching, what subject areas you're teaching, if there's an important event going on that week, maybe an assembly, or if they're going on a field trip. And then the daily one, which is broken down into the school day, into the times of the school day, you can include your actual teaching times and the periods in which you're teaching, and you can color code it however you'd like. Definitely you want to have the standards, and whether that be the Common Core standards or the state standards in which your state follows, you're going to want to have those available to you to each of the subject areas that you teach. So if you're teaching English, make sure you have all those English standards ready to go. If you want to print them out, you can. Sometimes people just put a QR code. They'll put English standards and then have a QR code that links to the PDF of all the English standards for that state. Now, if you are going to do the QR code, the nice thing about that is sometimes you can search. So if you're searching for a specific standard, you can search within there. It might be a little bit easier than having them printed. The next thing you're going to have are your lesson plans, and you can divide these up by periods or subjects that you're teaching depending on what your certification area is. And embedded within those lesson plans are places for reflection. How am I reflecting on this lesson, and how is it going to inform my teaching? And put those reflections within there. A nice way to do that in the moment is maybe to have your reflection question printed on your lesson plan and 2 or 3 sticky notes right underneath that question. So you can just quickly jot down your reflections and then you can answer the next ones. So whenever after you're done teaching your lesson, you can quickly go in and reflect on those 3 areas. And then when it's time to really dig deeper and reflect on that day and that lesson or that series of lessons, you have some quick notes jotted down. When you're student teaching, there's so much, you're getting so much regarding pedagogy, classroom management, strategies and techniques and tech tools, professional development resources. And there's a lot being thrown at you at the same time. So having a nice page or a couple of pages that just says my big ideas, and you just bullet point out some big ideas that you get from student teaching or from that district. Divide it into Danielson domains. So one might be big ideas for planning and prep, big ideas for classroom environment, big ideas for instruction, and big ideas for professional development. And that way it's kind of categorized a little bit, and they have different pages to capture all those big ideas around those different Danielson domains and components. So that might be a nice way to do it. And that way you're getting your great ideas out there. And whenever you go back and your student teaching is over in that placement or in that field, you can have a nice list of resources to refer back to if you want to use them in your first year teaching. The next one is kind of like a laundry list. You're going to want to make sure that you know the procedures for that classroom, whether it be through observation of your host teacher or your cooperating teacher, or just flat out asking them. And if you're finding, your first 2 days, you're not understanding a certain procedure, ask your co-op. Ask them early, because it's better that you ask and find out how to do something than to do it wrong. So I recommend having an open dialogue with your co-op, and maybe some of these could be some great starter questions for you to get that conversation rolling about some of the procedures. So I have a little link in the PDF with a list that goes from Scholastic that goes to 30 classroom procedures. These are just a couple that I, pulled from the list and pulled from my own experience. So here we go. Let's just get started with it. You're going to want to find out how your teacher takes and submits attendance, and if a student comes in tardy. So how is that procedure handled? Is it online? Do they call the office? Do they send someone down with a piece of paper? So you're going to want to make sure that you understand the attendance policy, how attendance is submitted to the main office, and what to do if a student's tardy or comes in late. And what does tardy mean for each class? So you're going to want to understand what that means for each of your classes. How are grades tracked, and how are they submitted? Are they tracked through an Excel spreadsheet? Is there a learning management system that you need to learn about? Is it just in a grade book and you just write the grades in, and at the end of the 9 weeks, they're submitted? So think about how grades are tracked and submitted for the first 9 weeks. To go along with that, how is feedback tracked and given to students? Is feedback written on their worksheets or in their journals or on their tests? Is feedback given through that learning management system? Is it given through voice notes or voice memos? So you're going to want to understand what that process is to give feedback. Another one that kind of goes off the cuff here is if you're in a pre-K4 placement, or maybe sometimes even middle school, the lunch count. So how is the lunch count taken, and how is it submitted to the main office? Again, is that through an email? Is that through a learning management system or a classroom management system? Or is that written on a piece of paper and handed to a student that walks it down to the office. So understand how the lunch count is taken care of. Assignments. So how do students turn in their assignments to the teacher? Is there a folder in the front of the room where they turn in their assignment for that class? How do students turn in late assignments if they missed a class or if their assignment is late? What's the procedures for late assignments, for missing a class? What to do if I'm done with an assignment early? Is there a certain spot in the classroom that I can go get extension work? So understanding what the policy is around assignments, handing them in, the late assignments, missing assignments, or finishing work early. If you're in a pre-K4 class, sometimes even middle level, understanding how students enter the room and exit the room. Usually there's a routine or a procedure that needs to be taught during that time. So maybe as they enter the room, they go and they sit on their carpet square if you're in a young classroom. Or if they enter the room, they pick up their binders, they go to their desks, and they look at the front of the room. They have a journal entry to start for that first 5 minutes. So understanding what the procedures are to enter the room. And then if you are in a lower elementary grade, how do students line up to leave? Is it the same every time? Does the teacher give a prompt? Okay, everybody wearing red, you're going to line up first. Everybody wearing orange, you're going to line up next, so on and so on. Or do they just line up willy-nilly? How do they exit the room? Do they have to hand in an exit ticket? Do they have a Post-it note they have to stick to the door? Do they give a high five to their teacher as they leave? So what's the procedure for entering and exiting the classroom? You have to know where the emergency cards are and know what the procedures are for a fire drill or for whatever type of emergency might be in your district or your school specific to your location. And then one other little small one is if a student has to go to the restroom, or they have to go to the nurse's office, or if they have an early dismissal, what are the procedures for that? Some other areas you're going to want to have in your teacher binder is professional development log. In your district, you might have days for professional development, and that's awesome. You're going to want to document that. Or maybe you're going to own your professional development and you're going to find areas that speak to you and your teaching. So those are several things that you can include in your student teaching binder. Let's go through that list one more time. Contact information, a class roster, a calendar, your standards for your state or Common Core, a place for all your lesson plans divided into either periods or subject areas, and then a place to reflect on those lesson plans, a spot for all your awesome big ideas that you're going to get from your student teaching placement, understanding all different kinds of procedures within your classroom, and then knowing whenever you switch placements, if you switch placements, the procedures might be different. And then lastly, a spot for all your professional development, because you'll be getting lots of different professional development during your student teaching career. And don't forget, guys, head on over to www.sfessage.com/15. And that's where you can find this complete list, a shopping list, and bonus ideas from the PLN to help you get that student teacher binder rockin' and rollin'. I look forward to seeing what you guys create with your student teacher binders. Make sure you tag me at sfessage, #EduMagic. In your posts, whether it be tweets or on Instagram. I'm going to see your student teacher binders, and make sure you comment down below what are your go-tos for your student teacher binder. Until next time, friends, you have the EduMagic within you. Hey friends, it's Sam. Finding a teaching job is tough, and finding the right teaching job for you can be even harder. But don't worry, AAEE has you covered. Attend the Education Career Fair on Thursday, October 24th, 2019, from 1 to 5 p.m. at the Norfolk Waterside Marriott in Norfolk, Virginia to find your perfect match. Districts from the local area and across the country are ready with jobs to offer. Whether you're looking for your first job teaching or you just want to see what options are out there, you'll be sure to make great connections that you won't regret. And who knows, you may walk away with a copy of our trusty Job Search Handbook for Educators too. Candidate registration is always free, so go online to aaee.org/conference now.
And there you have it, EduMagicians. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with your friends. For more EduMagic, check out sfessage.com. and follow Dr. Sam on Twitter and Instagram at sfessage. Until next time, you have the EduMagic within you.